It was never just about territory, it was about the soul of a people. For every mountain conquered, there stood a church, crowned in pride, forged in resistance. But pride alone cannot protect stone, and now even faith would feel the fire. The old cathedrals had once crowned every hill, not just with stone, but with the pride of centuries. Their bells echoed through valleys, blessing armies and baptizing kings. But now, the Adal forces walked not only as conquerors, but as agents of a new age. At each village, the gold was taken, but the altars were not stained. Imam Ahmad gave a sacred command: no blood would be spilled inside houses of worship. Instead, priests surrendered keys. Crosses were brought down with trembling hands, and in their place, the crescent rose. It wasn't vengeance, it was transition, swift, symbolic, and irreversible. Ashenj had once been more than a town. It was a sanctuary of knowledge, a cradle of ritual and sacred text. Its elders carried scrolls written before memory. But when the Imam's banners neared, there were no cries of war. Instead, there was surrender, not from cowardice, but from wisdom. The town's leaders emerged with white cloths raised, and women and children were ushered into safety. The soldiers of Adal gave them bread, not blade. Crosses and icons were respectfully removed. Prayers echoed in a new tongue. And so Ashenj fell, not to flames, but to transformation. The smoke still clung to the stones of Wafla when Bati Del Wanbara arrived, her silhouette astride a war horse framed by the ash and ruin of resistance. The townspeople expected fire and fury. But Bati did not come to destroy what remained. She came to build. Her voice rang through the streets like rain after drought, calming the panicked, lifting the fallen. Her guards gave water to the injured, food to the starving, and protection to those who had knelt. She chose the site where the mosque would rise, and with that command, a queen reminded them, mercy too can be a conquest. Some bastions did not bow. In a hidden valley, a chapel remained defiant, a final outpost of the old faith, ringed with matchlocks and prayer. The Imam's army gave them a chance. They refused. And so, the cannons spoke. The chapel's stone walls cracked, its icons shattered. Fire took what pride could not preserve. But when the flames died, the banner-bearer of Adal climbed the smoldering hill and planted the crescent above the rubble. The dead, friend and foe, were given proper burial. For even in war, the Imam commanded dignity. The conquest moved on, but not without prayer. Far to the north, Cristóvão da Gama sat in his command tent, a crucifix clutched in his palm. Every hour brought worse news. 5 towns lost, then 10, then 15. Churches burned, altars stripped, bells silenced. He listened not just with fear, but with grief. For him, This was not just a military collapse, it was a spiritual unraveling. "If they take the soul of Abyssinia," he whispered, "then all else is dust." Around him, priests wept, generals argued, maps were laid with red ink and black dread. The cross had not just fallen, it was being erased. In towns once silenced by war, the voice of the muezzin echoed again. Minarets were rebuilt where steeples had fallen. The rhythm of Harari, the wisdom of Zela, pulsed once more through the highlands. Quranic schools reopened, their halls filled with eager voices, reciting verses that had long been forgotten in these hills. Imam Ahmad walked among scholars, not just soldiers, restoring faith with ink as well as fire. Mothers prepared meals for teachers, orphans found shelter in new madrasas. This was not a wave of destruction, it was a rising tide of rebirth. At Lake Hake, dawn broke over glassy waters. Where once the royal cross stood proud on the church's tower, now a black banner fluttered, its crescent catching the first light. Villagers came in silence. Some bowed, some turned away, weeping, but none could deny the moment. The world had changed. The age of the cross, long unquestioned, had been fractured, and the age of the crescent had begun. From mountaintops to valley floors, word spread not with trumpets, but with awe. The sun rose, as it always had, but the empire beneath it would never look the same again. Night fell soft over the Adal camp. There was no feasting, no shouting, only silence broken by murmurs of prayer. Warriors knelt in dust and ash, whispering gratitude or asking for strength. Some wept in solitude. Fatima bint Mahfuz, Bati Del Wanbara, knelt apart, her dagger laid beside her Quran, her eyes closed against the wind. She had seen both mercy and massacre. She was not carved of stone, but her faith did not bend. In that stillness, she whispered not for victory, but for justice. Her voice joined thousands, rising into a night that heard them all. This was not the end of war, but it was the end of denial. The land had changed. The people had seen that faith, when carried with honor, could transform not just thrones, but hearts. The crescent now stood where once only the cross had ruled. It came with law, with learning, with mercy and resolve. Villages rebuilt. Children were taught anew. Justice echoed in courts where tyranny once whispered. The conquest would continue, but its legacy was already rooted, not in fear, but in faith that refused to fade. The age of the crescent had come to stay. This was not just a campaign, it was a reminder that faith, when carried with justice, could raise more than banners. It could raise people. And though the war was far from over, the land knew. The cross had fallen, and the crescent would not fade.